One of the reasons for years and years, the Cleveland Brown fans do not like me. I think it's unjust and unreasonable. I was right on Freddie Kitchens. I was right on John Dorsey, and I still believe that Baker Mayfield's a franchise quarterback, but was a reach at number one. But people believe what they want to believe, and they think I'm negative. I just think I don't know, accurate. One of the reasons I have said over and over and argued with Browns fans is over the course of time, smarter people will appear to get luckier, but if you run a cohesive, coherent business, it's not luck. That there's lots of bad breaks in the world, this virus, things happen that are unforeseen, and the companies that are patient will win. And this is why I've said to Cleveland for years and years, stop firing coaches. Just give them more time. Because the imagery within the NFL industry is that Cleveland, you don't want to raise your daughters there. You can't take your family there. They'll embarrass you. They'll fire you. And here's a prime example. I'm thinking about this morning. We're not going to have OTAs. I think it's almost guaranteed. And we'll have abridged, shortened camps. So this is going to be a year in which there's going to be an advantage. There's always an advantage for veteran teams that are well run. But I think this year more than ever, the well-run organizations, the Baltimores, the Philadelphia Eagles, the New England Patriots, although they lost Brady, are just going to flourish because they have stability, many of the same people. And I was thinking this morning, once again, Cleveland has a golden opportunity this year, and I think they'll underachieve. And I'll give you an example. This morning I sat there and I thought, what are the 8 most talented rosters in the NFL? Take the coach out, take the GM out. Best rosters. Now, I put them in order, but, the order can be argued. But I think the best 8 rosters, Baltimore's the best roster in the NFL. They were number 1 scoring last year. They've upgraded their defensive front, and they have the best secondary by a mile in the league. I think the Minnesota Vikings are probably the second overall best roster in the league. They keep winning games with Case Keenum and Kirk Cousins in a pretty tough division. I'd go 49ers, Chiefs, Chargers, Browns, Saints, and Steelers. Just rosters, and there's a lot of them close. Remember, as much as the Chargers, people roll their eyes, go 2 years ago when they were playing the Patriots, I think at 12-4. But what's funny is the team, because I think the Chargers with Tyrod Taylor are going to be a very good team. He's going to be more mobile than Phillip Rivers and doesn't turn it over, and they have a great roster. Cleveland's once again the team that has a golden opportunity with all this talent. First-time coach, first-time coordinators, first time Kevin Stefanski's ever been in the NFL outside of Minnesota. Maybe he and Joe Judge more than ever need time. They need space. They need time. They need days. And they're not going to have it. I think Cleveland's got a top 7 roster. And this is why I kept saying, Atlanta Falcons, keep your coach. New York Jets, keep your coach. So the Jets this year, same head coach back, same quarterback, same defensive coordinator, same offensive coordinator, same playbook. They've had a new GM, Joe Douglas, who's been in 11 months. So the Jets, as long as they can patch up their offensive line, they're in the process of doing a very good job at that, and C.J. Mosley is healthy, it's repetition. And you could say, Colin, this virus was unforeseen. So are injuries over the course of a season in the NFL. But if you're patient and smart, it always benefits stability. Yes, we're not going to see anything quite like this virus, but there are lots of obstacles that present themselves over the course of 3 or 4 or 5 years in the NFL. The virus is certainly not analogous to anything else. But when you look at the talented rosters in the NFL, and I say to myself, I think Cleveland's like 6 or 7, but they're the only one I think they're not going to win. They're just, I don't know what to do with them. They're not going to win. Another team, the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons kept their coach. So now they'll have the same offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, playbook, head coach, quarterback, general manager. So I think both Atlanta and the Jets could have easily fired their coach, but they were patient. And my point is, in any business, give promising employees another year. Keep them for another year. It's much better to be patient and wrong than what can really be a catastrophe, impatient and wrong. in Cleveland's case. So now not only do you get the wrong coach, but you have created a sense that you won't give anybody 2 real years. And so Atlanta may end up firing their coach. But in the league, people think of the Atlanta Falcons and think, oh, that Arthur Blank, he gives his GM, has had some average drafts. Matt Ryan's, had some years that were great, not so great. The coach, be patient. Take a deep breath. Don't overreact. Because I believe Cleveland absolutely has a top 6-7 roster in this league, and yet they're the only roster of those good rosters. I don't think you can make it work. New coach, new coordinator, new playbook, new system, still young quarterback. They had chemistry issues last year, and you're not going to have OTAs. We're going to have a shortened preseason. Be patient. It matters. A second story is I was talking to somebody yesterday, 2 people actually, and the first person said, I'm hearing New England is really all in on Jarrett Stidham, so I made a call to an exec in the league. And he said the same thing. And then I read a story this morning where Stephon Gilmore and Devin McCourty are both saying as Patriot DBs, this dude's got a hose. He's got a big arm. We watched him in practice. He can tear us up. He's really, really good. And it got me thinking to what Jordan Palmer came on last week. Now, Jordan's the brother of Carson. He does this. He's dealing right now. I've been told Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Kyle Allen are all living down in Orange County right now, believe it or not. The Bills quarterback, now the Redskins potentially backup quarterback, the Jets quarterback. They've decided to room down in Orange County. They're working with Jordan Palmer. They're training together. He's terrific. So he talks about Jarrett Stidham and just how good he potentially could be.
In terms of just spinning the ball, throwing it, velocity, how efficient his spiral is, control accuracy. You named a couple of guys I work with. I also work with a lot of other guys, too, that are going to Pro Bowls and, one that just won a Super Bowl. And he's at the upper echelon in terms of arm talent. Last offseason, he's in the quarterback meeting room with Tom Brady and Brian Hoyer. 31 years NFL experience and 27 or something like that in that offense. Just as much information as you can possibly have in a room of how to run that system, plus Josh McDaniels, plus some of these other guys. In terms of sitting for a year and learning, he just went to MIT.
And it got me thinking, if New England is out of the quarterback derby, and by the time they draft, the best prospects are probably gone. They're certainly no better than Jarrett Stidham. So why draft Jarrett Stidham if you have Jarrett Stidham? It'd be different if you had Lamar Jackson or you had somebody that you thought that was, like a Tua. But if you have Jarrett Stidham and you look at Jacob Eason and think, Stidham's Jacob Eason, but he's been in our camp longer, what's the point? That wouldn't be a draft pick I'd make. So we know Cincinnati, Miami, and the Chargers probably draft a quarterback. What does that mean? It means that either Jordan Love or Justin Herbert, because we know Cincinnati's taken Joe Burrow, and we know Miami's probably taken Tua. Whoever the Chargers don't take, either Justin Herbert or Jordan Love, and I don't know, is going to drop. Because outside of Jacksonville, and they have 2 first-round picks, and they apparently are eyeing a defensive tackle because they lost Calais Campbell, and they like Gardner Minshew, it means one of these quarterbacks, one of these really talented guys, Jordan Love or Justin Herbert, are going to drop. Because there's 8 or 9 or 10 or 12 teams that do not need a quarterback. The teams that have it, need it, are at the top and may move up. And it was really interesting to think about this. I'm going to throw a team out. So it'd be very hard for a team like Green Bay to move up to 10. But if Green Bay is in the 20s and nobody needs a quarterback, and I don't know who the Chargers are taking, you're going to either have Jordan Love or Justin Herbert in the mid-first round available. Indianapolis needs a quarterback. They traded away their first-round pick. They traded it away. And I saw a story yesterday where the Packers, be prepared for the Packers moving up. I want you to consider something with the Packers. Number one, they had 2 big issues last year, I thought, offensively, center and tight end. They addressed both. That's why they let Jimmy Graham go. They got a very good tight end out of Texas A&M and a very good center, I believe, out of Mississippi State. I could be wrong. They also need a wide receiver. But Green Bay doesn't need to take a wide receiver at the end of the first round because there's so many wide receivers. so they can address their primary concern this year. They addressed their two concerns last year. And Green Bay has a good enough roster. They can take a quarterback and have him sit. Green Bay's not a desperate roster. They really needed a center and tight end. They got it. They need a receiver absolutely available after the first pick. Indianapolis no longer has a first pick. So if Cincinnati takes Burrow and Miami goes with Tua and the Chargers, my guess this morning is Jordan Love. He's developmental. They feel comfortable with Tyrod Taylor for a year. Taylor's kind of the mature athlete, the mentor who I think could teach Jordan Love, who needs a year to watch his system. You're going to have a Jordan Love potentially drop in this draft. And I just want to repeat, Jordan Love at Oregon, 95 touchdowns, 23 picks. 6'5", 225, good arm, great student, highly productive, high character, 64% completion percentage. I'm just saying, we see this about every second or third draft. Aaron Rodgers fell in the draft. You see one of these really good guys fall in the draft. And this is not a shot. I know what you're saying. Colin, you are picking on Aaron Rodgers. No, I'm not. Nobody was picking on Brett Favre when the Packers took Aaron Rodgers. Aaron's had a couple of injuries. His numbers last couple of years with two different coaches, slightly declining. Remember, Green Bay's smart. Green Bay's a smart franchise. Smart franchises. Green Bay doesn't have the ability right now or the draft capital maybe to move up to top 10. But one of these guys is dropping. Keep your eye on Green Bay moving up 7, 8, 9 spots because they have the players to do it. They got the players to do it. Give out a player and a couple picks, move up a few spots.